Alright, today we're going to learn one of the most important formula, okay, of the second semester. It's called the quadratic formula, okay. Alright, so let's figure out what it is, okay, and why this is so important. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do today is we're going to solve this equation. What kind of equation is this, guys? ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is not a linear, this is a quadratic equation. And what they said was, wait a minute, we learned last time, using completing the square method, that we could solve every quadratic equation, right? So some people said, wait a minute, if that's true, why not solve this generic quadratic equation? Because I could plug in a, b, c for anything I want, right? And it'll represent every quadratic equation you could possibly think of. Does that make sense? And they say, why not use these variables and solve this, and we will get the answer, right? And why not then plug in ABC at the end, and it will solve, it will give us the solution without doing all the work. Does that make sense? Because, you know, we have to do the same work every time. If you notice from last night, whenever we do completing the square method, right? It's always the same work. Why not do one for this one generic one and just plug in the answer at the very end when we get the solution? Because at the end, we're going to get x equals something, right? Does that make sense? Isn't that a great idea? Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. And if you notice, this was number 30 on your homework from the other night. So I said just wait on that if you're not quite done. Well, that's what we're going to do. Isn't this a great idea? All you have to do is solve this equation and you get the answer at the end. You just have to plug it in. You don't have to do all that work. Isn't that great? Okay, so that's what we're going to do. That's why I said this is really important, okay? All right, so let's then solve this equation, right? Because this represents every quadratic equation, because ABC could be any numbers you want. That's why we're using these variables. Isn't that nice? So who remembers? Okay, so I don't want you to write this down yet, because I'm going to give you a chance to write it in a minute. I want you to really concentrate on this. Okay, so I want you to all just look and pay attention, and then I'll give you time to write. So first, what are you going to do to solve this quadratic equation using completing the square method? What do we need to do first here? Yes, sir? Subtract c, yeah, but that's not the most important step. Don't forget, you could do that, but that's not, Kira, divide both sides by a. Otherwise, can you complete the square? No, please remember, this is the most important step. First step, you have to divide by a. Okay? So go ahead, everybody do that now. I'll give you time. Go ahead, write it down. I'll wait. Okay. Divide both sides by a. You must have, remember, x squared term with 1. Otherwise, can you complete the square? Okay? 90% of the time where people mess up is because they forget to divide by that coefficient. Because if it's not a, you can't complete the square. Okay? So please do that first. Okay? Make sure you have a. Okay, so somebody tell me, yeah, oh, you guys still doing it? Oh, wait. Okay, somebody tell me what we get when we divide both sides by a. Yes, sir. Brandon? Yeah, x squared, so that's plus what? What's your middle term? Bx over a. Equals 0. Very good. I wrote it this way, Brandon. B over a times x. Is that okay? Thank you. That way you could see the middle term, the coefficient of the middle term a little bit nicer. You know what I mean? Instead of writing bx over a, isn't that same as b over a times x? Because x is really x over 1. Right? Is that okay, guys? Yeah. As you can see your b a lot better. Now, what do we need to do? It's the same exact step that we've been doing, except with some variables. What do we need to do next here? Nor? Subtract c over a. Isn't that what we want to do? So that we want to get rid of that term on the other side so we could complete the square. You guys remember that? Same exact thing we've been doing. There you are. And of course, so write that down. I'll wait. Okay, so after this, here comes the second most important step that we're going to do, right? Which is what? How do we complete the square? We have to divided by, oh yes. So Aleph, what do we have to add both sides by? Yeah, what's that thing that we have to divide by 2? It's the, yeah, what is your b in this case? B over a. You see, it's a coefficient. Whatever the coefficient of this x is, you have to divide that by 2 and what? Square it. Remember, this is this step. Remember, you have to add something to both sides? And do you guys remember what that is? Okay, this is one of the second most important step, right? You have to be able to complete the square, right? What do I need to plug in? So we have to add something square. It's going to be what? Jonathan?
Multiplying the denominator by 2 is the same
Exactly.
B over 2a.
Yes, and am I going to add both sides by b over 2a or b over 2a squared? Square. So I did the work over here. Okay. And on the right side, I just wrote b squared over 4a squared. Is that okay? Because on the right side, I have to add these together. Right? What's b over 2a times b over 2a, guys? I did the work on the right side. Isn't that b squared over 4a squared? Yes? On the left side, I'm going to leave it as b over 2a squared. Do you guys remember why? Ada? Yeah, you don't need any, you just have to look at the pattern and it doesn't involve any math. What does then, do you see why we left it as b over 2a whole thing squared? What does the left side become? It's going to be some binomial square, who remembers? This, again, this does not involve any math, it's just looking at the pattern, right? What do we get on the left side? Yes, Rania? Yeah, x plus the whole thing squared, right? You're going to have something squared, right? On the, oops. So you're exactly right. Oops. Let me try to hide the answer. Oops, sorry. There you go. All right, so there you go. Isn't this simply x plus b over 2a squared? Right? Of course, can I add these together right now as it is? No, I need a common denominator. So what do I need to multiply c over a by? 4a, right? Because I need 4a squared on the bottom, so I need to multiply top and bottom by 4a. That's what I'm doing. Is that okay? Yes? Okay, so when I multiply that, tell me what I get. I guess negative 4ac. Isn't that what we get on the left side? So there you go. Okay. So far it's pretty straightforward. It's the same exact way we've been doing, right? And it's pretty easy, okay? I'll wait. People still writing? I'll wait. Okay, go ahead. So, E-Ray, tell me what I get on the right side. Now that I have a common denominator? X plus b over 2a. No. Like, let's simplify the right side. Yeah, so I still have this. What do I get? I get negative b squared. What do you get when you add them together? You have a common denominator. Yeah, negative 4ac plus b squared all over 4a squared, right? Now, I wrote it this way. What do you think I wrote it this way first? Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no reason. I just wrote it, yeah. It's b squared and then it's positive. It looks a little bit nicer. Is that okay? Isn't this same as negative 4ac plus b squared? Could I write it as b squared minus 4ac? The same thing, right? I just want to, it looks a little bit cleaner. Is that okay? But you're right. I had b squared first, so I kind of want to write that term with the square first. Very good. Is that okay, guys? Are we okay? Now all we have to do is what, guys? Square root both sides. Remember to put, if you don't put plus or minus, then positive or negative, you lose one of your solution. Okay, so we get this, right? So what does the left side become then? Well, one person? No? Okay, why don't you all try? I'll wait. Go ahead, everybody. Tell me what. Go ahead and simplify and so forth. Tell me what we get after this. All right, so who can tell me what we get on the left side? How about... So somebody tell me then, what does left side become? How about Thomas?
Left side?
Yeah.
Becomes x plus b over 2.
Yeah, they just cancel out. That's easy right there. What about the right side? What do I write? Yeah.
Plus or minus b squared minus 4ac
Mm-hmm.
over 2.
Over 2a. Where did you get 2a from? You're exactly right.
This is square root.
Yeah, you square root 4a squared. Isn't that right? Because positive or negative is on the top, right? You square root the numerator and the denominator. Remember the rule for square roots? So yeah, it just becomes simply 2a. And we like that. Why? Because yeah, you're gonna have a common denominator, right? You got it. Don't you have to get rid of b over 2a? Because we're solving for x, right? Does that make sense? So what are we gonna do next? Subtract. Subtract b over 2a from both sides. And don't we get this? So remember, we want to write the one with the square root on the at the end. So we got negative b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Is this the best way to write? No, we have a common denominator. Remember, I told you to kind of combine them, the whole thing with one fraction. Who could tell me what we get when you combine them? Jonathan?
Negative b
Mhm.
plus or
over 2a, all over 2a. There you go. And we've solved for x. Why is this really good? Now all we have to do is, if you know your ABC, do you have to do all this work? All you have to do is what? Plug into the formula and it gets you the x, the answer. Without doing any math. All you have to do is plug it into this formula. That's the answer right there. How many number does this represent? Well, yes. So if I give you some ABC, how many numbers would you get? 3? No, because of positive and negative, you get 2, right? Well, sometimes you get 0. I mean, you get 1 because if the whole thing equals 0. Or you get just one answer if the whole... you get no solution. If the square root is what? Inside the square root it becomes negative, then it's on the right. There's no solution. You guys remember?
Yeah.
So you either get one solution, two solutions, or no solutions, right? Depending on what ABCs are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Isn't this nice?
Yeah.
And some of you might say, wait a minute. If that's true, why did we have to learn what? The complete the square method. Why didn't you just tell us this method?
Because they won't.
Exactly. You won't know that this is what you get if you don't know how to complete the square. Does that make sense? Because if you didn't know how to complete the square, would you be able to come up with this equation?
No.
No, that's not possible. Does that make sense? Do you understand how we get this? Do you see why this is so important?
What's this
Okay.
called?
Huh? This is called this is a solution to the quadratic equation. This is called quadratic formula. Right. So we just have to solve the quadratic formula.
equation.
All right. So how many of you were able to now do this without looking at anything? Did you all get? What was the answer? You complete the square. You divide both sides by a first, right? And then you move over b squared, right? Yeah. So when you do all this, did you all get this? So you have some chance to now. You should be able to do this without. So before you go to sleep tonight, okay? Try this on your own. Just write down, solve for x, right? If you have this generic quadratic equation, right? Guys, this represents every quadratic equation, doesn't it?
Every quadratic.
Yeah, because ABC could be any number you want. Answer to this is simply x equals to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over what? 2a. Does that make sense? Now, okay. So this formula will get you the answer to every quadratic equation you could ever think of. All you have to do, no math is involved. All you have to do is what? Just plug it in. If you know your A, B, C, you just plug it in. You're done. Is that okay?
No.
Okay. All right. Good. So there's one slight problem though. Even though people know the formula, people like make silly mistakes when you simplify. So let's not do that. Let's do an example now. So here is an example. Let's review. Okay. So let's actually, I don't know why I wrote review. Let's do an example. So I got 3x squared minus 4 plus x equals 0. Now, this time, they try to trick you a little bit. What is your A? What is your A? 3. What is your B? Is it negative 4? No, you need to write this in standard form. So please write it this way, right? Then you know, and every time you do this, do you think it's a good idea to write down what ABCs are before you begin? What is your A, guys? 3. What is your B? 1. What is your C? Negative 4. Okay, you think it's a good idea to change it to addition? Okay. Because then you can see your ABC a lot clearer, right? If you would change it to addition. Now all you have to do is, I want you to then, right, without doing any sort of completing the square method, you could now figure out your solution by plugging into the solution, the quadratic formula. Go ahead, everybody plug it in. And please don't make silly mistakes when you simplify. Go ahead, everybody now plug it in. Now, whenever you plug it in, what do you have to use? Use parentheses, so you don't mess up. Okay, go ahead, everybody try it. I'll wait. Okay. One of the questions says, for this formula, does the coefficient of the x have to be 1? No, it does not, because remember, we took care of all that when we solved for x, when we were doing completing the square. So that's why it's really nice. A could be anything you want, B could be anything you want, C could be anything you want. Does that make sense? So you don't have to make A to 1 anymore, because we took care of all that when we were solving for x. Does that make sense? So you just use A, B, and C. That's it. Do you see how simple it is? You don't have to do anything. Well, one thing that you got to do is, Nicole, you got to write in standard form, right? Otherwise, you're not going to get right A, B, C. So, go ahead. So, guys, use parentheses. You know it's going to be like this. Okay. Plug it in using standard form. That's important. You got to write it in standard form. Okay, that's one thing that you got to do.
How can we have a completely different problem than this?
So it's important that you plug it in correctly because people, even though they know the formula, like they mess up plugging in and simplifying. So somebody tell me what to plug in. What goes into the first parentheses? Here, Cole. 1. Very good. Because it's negative b. So I just plug in, it becomes negative 1 plus or minus. Now what? Cole. 1 what? Squared minus. I changed it to addition, but it's the same thing, right? Negative 4.
Oh.
3 times. Negative 4. Very good. All over 2 times what? 2 times 3. Isn't this easy? You just have to plug it in. That's all.
I have a question.
Okay, hold on. Any question on this? In terms of plugging it in? Okay. I'm just going to leave it as minus 4 times this for now. Okay, is that okay? And then, of course, I could make it into addition. Okay, here we go. All right, so here we go. Okay, let's go ahead and everybody simplify. Okay, and tell me what you get. So please don't make any silly mistake when you're simplifying these. Go ahead, everybody try. I'll wait. Okay, so here, tell me what. By the way, you get negative 1 plus or minus. What do you get inside the square root? What's 1 square, guys? 1. What's this is negative 4 times 3 times negative 4. What do you get when you multiply this whole thing?
Negative 48.
Is it going to be negative or positive? Be careful. It's going to be positive 48, guys. Does that make sense? Shh. Guys, this is 1 squared, which is 1, minus 4 times 3 times 4, right? This whole thing is you're multiplying. This is negative 4 is plus negative 4, right? So it's negative 4 times negative 4, which is positive, right? 16 times 3, you get 48. Yes? Please don't make that silly mistakes inside. You understand what I'm saying? If you want to, you can change it to addition. Okay, then what's 1 plus 48? 49. So how many numbers does this represent? 2. By the way, what's square root of 49? We like 49. Yeah, it's simply 7. So it's simply negative 1 plus or minus 7 over 6. What are the two solutions you get? Negative 1. Let's write the smaller one first. Negative 1 minus 7 over 6. The other is negative 1 plus 7 over 6, which is what? 6 over 6. Don't we get negative 4/3 and 1? Yes? Right? Negative 1 minus 7, isn't that negative 8 over 6? Which is negative 4/3. And then negative 1 plus 7, you get 6 over 6, which is 1.
Wait, where does the 1 go? Oh, you have to. Oh,
Okay, which is pretty simple, right? Something that we've been doing all this time. Any question? Does that make sense? So all you have to do is remember this formula. But the thing is though, do you think I'm going to give you this formula for your test or quiz or homework?
Yes.
No. You have to memorize. But thankfully, there's an easy way to memorize. Once you know this, you will remember for the rest of your life. I'm telling you. Okay, so there's an easy way. Yeah, there's a song for it. Okay, so I'm about to show you the song. Once you know the song, you will remember this for the rest of your life. You all ready? Because what good is it if you don't remember the formula, right? Even though this formula is great, if you don't remember this correctly, then you're not going to get the right answer. Okay, here we go. All right, fine. Here we go. All right, so as I said, what good is it if you don't remember the formula correctly, right? So yeah, there's a song. I'm telling you, once you hear this song, you will remember it for the rest of your life. Here we go. So, in the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel, here we go. Okay, you all know the Pop Goes the Weasel, right? Okay, here we go. Actually, I'll wait for it. There's a second. Okay, I'll sing it next time. Here we go. Ready? X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's how it goes. Does that make sense? Alright. It's your turn. Okay, now you have to all sing now. Okay, here we go. You ready? And if you're really good, you can actually sing it to that second tune. It's kind of hard, but here we go. Ready? You all ready? Okay, here we go, guys. I want 100% participation. Here we go. Here we go. Ready? Go. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And you can sing it to this one. Anyway. Okay, we'll do it. Hey, don't forget. It's kind of fast inside the square root. Okay, so you get it. Here we go. x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2. X equals negative, if you want to do this, that's the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2. See? Now you will remember for the rest of your life this formula. Does that make sense? You want to try one more time? One last time. Here we go. Okay, this time I want you to put your like emotion into it. You ready? Here we go. Here we go. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2. One more time. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over. Come on, Brandon, sing it. All right. Does that make sense? Okay. So now you remember for the rest of your life. Okay. Whether you like it or not, this formula now is going to be okay. So once you know this formula, isn't this nice? All you have to do is plug in ABC and you're done. Right? And like Nicole said, A doesn't have to be 1, right? In this, because we took care of that already when we were solving it. All right. So let's do some examples now. Here we go. So example 2. Okay, they kind of got a little bit more interesting on this. Look at, we have 3y squared equals 6y equals 1. Now, can you tell your ABC right away? No. Is this in the standard form? No, it has to equals to what? 0. Remember? It has to equal 0. It has to be in that standard form, right? So what would that be? You have to write this as 3y squared what? Minus 6y plus 1 equals 0. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you don't do that, then you're not going to get your ABC. Remember, whenever you want to use the quadratic formula, it has to be in this form, right? It has to equal to 0, and it has to be in this form. So what's your A in this case? 3. What's your B? Negative 6. What's your C? 1. Does that make sense? Please do that step. That's the important step, like when you do the quadratic formula. Now, this time I want you to not look at your note, but remember the quadratic formula. You can sing along, but do it in your head, kind of. Okay, you could. Okay, so go ahead and write down the quadratic formula. Now plug it in because I know my ABC and tell me the answer. Okay, go ahead. Everybody try. I'll wait. Okay, so did you all plug into the quadratic formula? Okay, did you all use parentheses? So you should have gotten negative of negative 6, right? You get positive 6 here. Thank you. So then you get negative of negative 6, right? Plus or minus square root of b squared, which is negative 6 squared, minus 4 times 3 and 1 over 2 times 3. Did you all get this? A lot of you try to cancel out this 6 and this 6. Can I do that? No, because you have addition or subtraction here. If you had multiplication, yes, because then 6 will be a factor of the whole numerator, right? But this is 6 minus square root of 24 and 6 plus square root of 24, right? So you can't cancel those out, can you?
No.
By the way, can I leave it as square root of 24?
No.
Why not? Very good. This is important. You should always simplify, right? So square root of 24, Jonathan? Yeah, it contains a perfect square as its factor, right? So doesn't it become 2 rad 6? Because look, 24 is 2 times 12, right? And 12 is 2 times 6. And look, how many 2's do we get? 2's, and then you got 2 and 3 left, right? So doesn't that become square root of 2 squared and then square root of 2 times square root of 3? That's so. Now, can I then? Oops. Sorry. So can I then leave it as this? Am I done? So everybody see why square root of 24 is really 2 rad 6? Yes? Yeah. Because like I said, it's 2 squared times 2 times 3, and then it's all square rooted, right? So it's like this. Does that make sense? We get 2 times square root of 6, right? Yes? Am I done? Not quite. Even though it looks very simple, look at the numerator. I got 6 plus or minus 2 rad 6 over 6. Could I factor out a common factor from the top? What is the common factor? 2. I can factor it out from top. And now can I cancel it out with the 2 and 6? Because 2 is a factor of the whole numerator, right? And you got 6 on the bottom. Now can I cancel this out? Does that make sense? So these little simplification, like it's easy to use the formula and plug it in, but at the end you got to simplify correctly. Does 2 go into 6?
Yes.
How many times?
3 times.
So what's the answer, guys? X equals 2?
3 plus or minus.
Yeah, 3 plus or minus 6 over 3. And how many numbers does this represent? Where did I get 3 from? Because 2 times, look, if you don't believe me, what's 2 times 3? Is that 6? 2 times rad 6, isn't that 2 rad 6?
Take out the 2.
I factor out a common factor of 2 from the top. Remember factoring out GCF? Okay, so what are the two solutions we get? 3 minus square root of 6 over 3 and 3 plus square root of 6 over 3. Those are your answers.
If we just write 3 plus or minus square root of 6 over 3 without the line.
No, but I want you to write them separate. I want you to write them separately like this so that you know that represents 2 numbers. Okay. Any question? Does this make sense? Can you do something nice for your homework tonight? Good. All right.